Hey guys, this is Justin. Welcome to another video, and today we're looking back to your comments and your hashtag AskEck questions, and maybe we'll do two, but we'll start off with this one from Billy Curry II, who says, is the stun feature on blasters like we see in A New Hope overpowered? It is a one-shot takedown, seems to ignore armor whenever it is used, and has a wide radius. It would almost be more effective to stun an enemy than to shoot them with a blaster. And yeah, stun weapons do seem fairly effective, as we see in A New Hope, or even more modern depictions like in the Bad Batch. But I think there are two things to consider here. For one, there are some clear downsides to using the stun setting on a weapon. The projectile most likely has a significantly lower max range as the energy dissipates. Stun projectiles also seem to be less accurate and manageable. And the big thing is, they're not as predictable as a blaster. Yes, we have seen characters stunned, but would you be able to stun a Wookiee? Are there aliens which would have unique physiology making the bolts ineffective? If you're in a prolonged fight and you do manage to get close enough to stun an opponent, how long are they going to be out for? All questions you don't really need to worry about with a blaster. The fact is, it's not just stun weapons in Star Wars which are super effective, it's really any sort of handheld blaster. Yeah, you could knock a stormtrooper out with a stun bolt as shown by Princess Leia, but you can also, more accurately and at longer range, kill most stormtroopers as well with an ordinary blaster bolt. We see this many times. In the Bad Batch, for example, they switch to their stun weapons not because they think the blaster won't be as effective, but because they don't want to kill their brothers. Blasters in Star Wars are a major beneficiary of the technological trends in the universe, i.e., science in Star Wars has really mastered the ability to pack an insane amount of energy into a small space. Blaster technology works by essentially exciting exotic gases through the use of energy usually provided by a power pack or some sort of generator. The gas is focused into a particle beam and it causes immense damage. A blaster is an incredibly destructive weapon. Unless you're a main character, if you are hit in a critical body part, you can expect to die. Here's a quote from the New Essential Guide to Weapons and Technology. A blaster fires a concentrated beam of high-energy particles. In the most powerful blasters, these beams or bolts can punch or burn through advanced alloys with relative ease. When used against organic tissues, most blasters cause irreparable damage. That page also goes on to say, despite research into sonic and other weapons, blasters remain the most pervasive ranged weapons in part because of their reliability and accuracy. Blaster power packs, which can provide energy for up to 100 bolts, are cheap and can be replaced in under 10 seconds or recharged at portable generators. Blaster gas is also readily available, and a full chamber can fuel 500 bolts. So, and I think people don't talk about this a lot, Star Wars is a universe where you've got extremely high-powered weapons available in handheld form to pretty much anyone in the galaxy. And yeah, blasters were outlawed or made difficult to get, but I mean, were they really? A blaster firing in its ordinary kill mode also seems to have more variability in fire rate, overall power, and more. Blasters could be tuned to use all their energy packs or gas canisters in short bursts, or to downscale the power for more precise shots. They also benefited more from aftermarket enhancements like scopes or extended barrels. Interestingly, I wasn't able to find a whole lot about how a stun beam is actually generated, but I'm going to assume as well that it takes a lot of the blaster's energy and isn't something that can be used time and time again. Obviously, you could have stun or ion-based weapons. In most cases, obviously, the stun is just a setting on an ordinary blaster. But again, where the killing feature on most blasters is so effective, it's just not really needed. I'd say the most common type of stun-first weapon is actually one meant to destroy droids, with the less lethal aspect sort of being a secondary function or even an unintended consequence. An example would be the ionization blaster used by the Jawas, although these specifically were actually not even powerful enough to knock a user out, but even still, They were prone to malfunctioning and had a very limited range. The new Essential Guide to Weapons and Technology does explain that handheld ion weapons were actually effective in combat against living beings for some time, especially during the Mandalorian Wars, which makes sense. It seems like they were a good option against Mandalorian armor. However, I'm assuming that after that point, the advancements to blaster technology were able to just get past that disadvantage. By the time of the Clone Wars, weapons like the DC-15 existed, which actually mixed the traditional ion disabling effect of the aforementioned blasters with high-powered energy, but that didn't stun organic targets. Rather, it was good at destroying droids and killing living beings. Keep in mind, this is a universe where ordinary projectile weapons, firearms, are seen as radically outdated. People talk about how, oh yeah, slug throwers were used against Jedi. Not really. Like, that's something I've heard, and I'm sure there's a book or something which says as much, but practically, outside of extremely specialized weapons like Verpine shatterguns, blasters just had way more stopping power and functionality. But again, if you want to guarantee you've got an opponent down in one shot, there are other options as well. For example, a disruptor is just an extremely high energy weapon which destroys pretty much anything it comes in contact with. If you get hit with a disruptor, you're going down and you're not getting back up. The downside being that because of the immense energy requirements, typically you could only fire a disruptor a couple of times, maybe 5, before having to either get a new weapon or provide a new power source. But that's really all for this question. I do want to end the video with another quick #AskEck. This one comes from Endosaurus1404, who asks, could a fully hypothetically unshackled CIS, meaning no intentionally holding back, take on Palpatine's galactic empire at its peak? So, military science in Star Wars advanced significantly after the Clone Wars. Like, there was nothing which could stand up to an Imperial Star Destroyer. And Palpatine had 25,000 of them. The galaxy was completely under his thumb, and he was producing ships at an insane level. The only way that the CIS could hope to fight against the Empire was in a world where they can set up foundries across the galaxy and produce just an insane amount of battle droids in secret. But that's never really been how droid armies work in Star Wars. There always seems to be some limit, and the CIS is just not set up to fight the Empire. Like, unlike the Alliance, they have territory, they have planets the Empire can come in and knock down. The Rebel Alliance survived by being stateless, by being difficult to knock out. I don't think the CIS is built in quite the same way. But yeah, that's my take. Thank you so much for submitting the question. I hope you guys will let me know any future videos you'd like to see covered. But until next time, guys, be safe, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.